I am nothing more than a servant of Allah. I'm a
Mashallah.
very simple person. Yes, it is true. I've done several master degrees. I've been involved in businesses. I've made a lot of money, and I've lost a lot of money, and I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of trauma, a lot of things like that. I understand about a little bit about mental health, not as a specialist in mental health, but someone that has experienced certain things in life and how I've overcome it. And I would hope that some of the information I will share, inshallah, will contribute. And maybe I can share some of my tactics of how I've transformed, when I've felt certain issues in my life.
And with you being a Muslim played a big
Absolutely,
part in it as well.
absolutely.
It kept you together.
I derive all my solutions, all my strategies, all from the prophetic way. I always go back to the Quran and a hadith to find the solution. And likewise, even in my life and my purpose in life, I mean, one of the first questions I asked when I reached that sort of puberty age is, what is my purpose in life? Why am I here? Why did Allah create me? Why did Allah bring me personally, in this world? What's my purpose? And it's very simply the purpose. I mean, according to the Quran, it says, He created the jinn kind and mankind for one purpose, is to worship Him. But how do we worship Allah? Is it just praying, fasting? Absolutely. I mean, these are the foundations, but also on how we serve others. Service to many leads to greatness. So this is what I was striving for. So everything I do, or everything I try to do, I try to attach it to the service for the community, for others, and attach it to as a form of worship to Allah, from studying, from doing business and that sort of stuff. Of course, no one's perfect. We all make mistakes. We always, there's things it's a bumpy road. Life is like that, but you always have to go back. You have to always, correct yourself. So if you take the wrong route, turn back and turn back to Allah basically, and always put yourself back on track. And that's my strategy. One of the you asked about my education. So I've studied predominantly economics first of all, and the other degrees that I have, master degrees, postgraduate degrees, are all in computer science. And now currently I'm working on my PhD, as well as I work as a financial software engineer, as a consultant. I specialize in banking technology, and I have a very keen interest in Islamic finance, Islamic Sharia and stuff like that. So I always combine that with my research that I'm working on. So that's one of the things. But I want to make it absolutely clear, Tamkin. Sometimes people just look at me and say, "Oh, mashallah, you've got 4 or 5, whatever, degrees, and you're doing so well, or you've made X amount of fortune and or that kind of income, whatever." They really need to understand that I've actually failed 100 times before I've had one success. I've actually attempted to do a master degree so many times before I had any, and I actually quit halfway, or I didn't attend an exam, right? Or I failed, and then I said, "Oh, education isn't for me." Can you imagine? I'm the sort of person that people used to say, I'm never going to go to university. This guy isn't smart enough to, you need some sort of an IQ level to, you have to be intelligent enough to university. And then I ended up as someone that has multiple degrees now.
Someone that Allah opens doors.
Absolutely. But it's all about perseverance. It's about understanding that it is the qadr of Allah.
Mindset and the mental ability. And then just, what is mental health and wellness in your opinion?
We are all suffering from mental health. Mental health does not just mean that you're unstable in the mind, or you're going to act like that individual in Nashville, Tennessee the other day. He went out and killed all these innocent souls, children and stuff like that. So it does not mean that that's the only aspect of mental health. Mental health can mean absolutely so many things. I mean, it could be you're depressed, you're upset, you're anger. You've lost that state. And we always go back to what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to us. When you find yourself angry, or you're in this state of anger, always change your state. So if you're standing, you sit down. You're sitting down, you lay down. Go change, do something different. Break the subject. If there's an argument, just break it, change the topic, and then come back to it, revisit it, and continue. But not in a state, or make a decision when you're in a state of anger. because that you'll start to act in a certain way that it'll be out of your control. We've all done that, but we always have to learn. And
And
what
this is where prayers come in, I think, five
abs-
times a day, because you're
absolutely,
breaking whatever the routine is.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're concentrating on something different and you're doing your ibadah. So
exactly.
Islam is actually, if people follow it correctly, not that everyone can for whatever reason,
Mhm.
that actually gives you a break, doesn't it, from your normal whatever you're doing throughout the day. As you know, with social media, everyone is trying to aspire to be something they're not. So that could be traumatic if you're overweight, you don't look good, you haven't got a certain type of body, size, color, the clothes you're wearing, makeup. That actually does affect a lot of people. And I'm really astounded that we don't have more people who are, having more mental illnesses. Maybe they are, and it's not reported. Sammy, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely understand that. From
Mm,
an Islamic point of view, we shouldn't really compare ourselves with others. I will tell you one story.
mm,
I'm kind of disappointed about this. When I was in the gym and I noticed one father was kind of shouting to his daughter, said, "Oh, what's wrong with you? Why can't you swim as quick as the other girl?" And I thought to myself, this is absolutely wrong. This shouldn't be the way. You should actually be encouraging your daughter or your son, and say, "Well done, you did great today," and that kind of stuff. You shouldn't be trying to compare them with other children. Um, so that's the sort of thing that I, that needs to change. Parents need to change this, because children take that on and they start to compare themselves with others later on. They start looking at others, trying to aspire to be like them. Maybe they're not the same intelligence, or maybe they don't have the same sort of financial support to achieve the same kind of results. So you start to compare yourself to others, and that's absolutely completely wrong. You should be really competing against yourself. You should always every day look at yourself and say, am I a better version of myself since yesterday? And always do that. Strive to become a better version of yourself, rather than trying to look at others and saying, well, okay, he's got a Bugatti. I can't afford a Bugatti at this moment. And you shouldn't do that. And also the sickness of envy. When you start looking at others, you're envious. You start to build up that disease, hatred, and this, I think, could be the cause of a lot of people that take revenge on others, or take revenge on the society. Do sort of acts because they feel like they are disfranchised, or they can never achieve the same results. They never had this happy childhood, or they never could achieve success, and they don't really understand. They don't really try to understand that these people that are successful in life, they failed probably 1,000 times more, and they've just kept persevering and trying to change their strategy, becoming like water, always flowing like water, rather than trying to attempt to do something. It doesn't work, they just give up. uh, I've I've been always told, when I failed first business that I did and I failed and lost money, I was always told, "Oh, you're not cut out to be a businessman. You've tried it once. You should now give up. Just get a proper job and that's it, and give up." But I didn't. I just it kept me down for a little while, obviously, because you listen to people that are older than you, more mature, and you respect them. But later on, I said, that's not cut out for me. I have to be my own boss. I have to build my own business. I have to have my own freedom and flexibility in life. And that's what I chose to do, to become an
So
entrepreneur.
that was more adult behavior and trauma.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. I
for
mean,
the sake
trauma
of,
can take absolutely any forms. I mean, it can be
of course,
heartbreak and that kind of stuff. I mean, I fell into all sorts of forms of trauma in my life, and I always look back as, where did I go wrong? And I said, oh, okay, I had this particular heartbreak because I attached my heart. I gave my trust too much. I trusted that person too much. I gave my heart to that person, and they disappointed me. What we should really be doing is giving our trust to Allah,
mashallah.
and only attaching our heart to Allah. And when now I wish, I mean, I'm single, I'm not married, but I always say to Allah, if I was to ever get married in the future, inshallah, I want someone that loves you more than loves me.
Ah,
That's the sort of person I want. I want someone that attaches her heart to you. If she loves Allah more than me, then that's the sort of wife I want. I don't want a wife that says to me, I love you. I want a wife that says to me, I love Allah, and I love Allah more than you. And I'll say, well, and then in that case, then I also love Allah. And because of my love to Allah, I also love you. So it always has to be through that. And this is how Allah combines the hearts. But if you if you love anything other than Allah, if you love anything other than Allah and you're a good person, then alhamdulillah if you've gone through some sort of trauma, because Allah's trying to call you back. He's trying to call you back to Him. He's saying to you, you should be loving me. I'm your creator. I'm giving you everything. I have power over all things. I have control of people's hearts. And if I love you, Allah is saying to us, if I love you, then everything will love you. All the creation. That's why I have this strong love, and I I'm sorry to say this, Tamkin, but I have to say on air that I have a lot of love for you, because I feel that also Allah loves you, inshallah.
I really appreciate it.
I really value you as a true friend, and I have to say this. Honestly, I know I'm saying it on air, but I have
Thank
to
you, Sammy. Well, we've known each other a long.
One of a kind. Yeah.
So, Sammy, you're originally from Egypt, so we're generally talking about Asians. Your parents, obviously, I know your dad and mum originally. So, what did you have the same sort of things that we Asians have?
Well, it's not just I am originally from Egypt, but I also have a mixed background. I actually did a genetic test a few years back, and it was very interesting. Probably something like 30% Egyptian, and the rest is mixed from Europe to the North Africa.
You remember how I introduced you to my friends?
Oh yeah, my Jewish friend.
He's Muslim, but he looks Jewish.
Yeah, but interesting.
This is my Jewish friend.
Interesting for your record, I am part Jew as well.
Okay. So the nose gives it away.
Yeah, it gave it away. I have a lot of Jewish friends, and they're always insisting. They always said to me, you think like a Jew, you act like a Jew, you invest like a Jew, and you know all these values that you have. You can't be Egyptian. You have to, and I did my genetics test on it, and they were absolutely right. So I do have a percentage. Obviously, I'm more Egyptian than
recently from
my grandmother's Scottish as well. So yeah, I have various background, but to really keep it on the topic from the discussion you're having, is really trying to identify your purpose. This is the thing that where people go wrong, is they don't have a purpose in life. Therefore, they go astray. They go into alcohol, they get to depression, that sort of stuff. But if you find a purpose, and if you can't find a purpose, do what Sayyida's doing. Look at someone that's in crisis, or someone's got an issue. Like, for example, she's got a charity that helps women from domestic violence. You try to look at someone that's in a worse condition than you and say, alhamdulillah, I am better, but I'm going to serve that person. I'm going to find a solution for that particular person or that particular cause, whatever it may be. And subhanallah, you will find so many opportunities. If you focus on other people's problems, all your problems will go away. I'll tell you one little experience. It was an issue that there was a period where I left the job, or they let me go at some point, and I didn't really have much savings, and it was kind of like dwindling away gradually. And then came Ramadan. This was a few years back, and I thought to myself, well, I've got this little saving. This is my little pot until I get another job. And then I started seeing all these charities and all these issues, and refugee crises and wars and all that stuff. And I said, I wish I had a few £1 million I can help these people. And then this like voice or something inside my head said, well, you have what you have, right? Why don't you start with this little amount, even little amount? And then I felt, well, I'm kind of shy, this small amount is not going to go very far. So obviously I have to contribute more. And pretty much in that particular month, I ended up donating and donating. By the end of the month, I almost finished all my money. But before the end of the month, I had so many job offers. It was triple, even quadruple more than what I was earning previously.
Mashallah.
I found without even actually looking for a job, people were approaching me. And I thought, subhanallah, I didn't even look for a job. I didn't even think about myself. I said, let me just give up everything that I have. And I know it might sound crazy. You might think, if you give charity, you'll become poor. But Allah doesn't say that. He says to it, if you give charity, it's actually a way of you actually increasing your wealth. And I've had I can give you so many accounts of this. I mean, I'll be taking an hour from you to give you all these sort of events that happened to me in my life that kind of gave me this confidence that if I give and not think about, without any return, without actually thinking, how can I benefit from helping this person? Leave it in the hands of Allah, and Allah always returns it many times over, multiple.
What about stigma in your culture? Do they have stigma, Sammy, in Egypt with mental health or people?
I've got so many things. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say this. There's a lot of things I heard as a child. They always have this saying, the value of a man is his pocket, basically, or how much money he's got. They always say that, even I know the parents always care about education and stuff, but you always hear this common thing. They say, ignorance is bliss. So yes, there are people that obviously want their children to grow up and become a doctor but you also have this other extreme as well that say, well, actually education is very important, money is important. If you want to get married, you have to be richer than the other guy, and you're in competition. You're in competition with the other guy. There's a man there, he's not very attractive, whatever, but he's got more money, she'll marry him.
He'll look after you, you'll have a good
so that's the sort of advice that they give you. And in fact, when I went through this process of looking for a wife, first questions they ask you is, how much are you earning? What car do you drive? How big is your apartment? And I thought, this is not the sort of questions I would want if I had a daughter, for example. I wouldn't want to ask that person these sort of questions. I wouldn't want to know that person as an individual, his personality, the way he thinks about things, his Islamic values. What does he know about what's the purpose of a woman? Why did Allah create a woman? What's her purpose? What's her value? She's not a lot of obviously one of the stigmas and one of the things that cause people is people that have these domestic abuse and all that stuff is some men unfortunately think that women are a property. So if they get married, it's like a property. It's like having a car. So he can pretty much do whatever he wants with it, and that's absolutely wrong. And Allah tells us that He created us from a single pair, and He said that the woman is a trust. It's a amana. So she's very precious to the man.
And we will be accountable on the day.
We're held accountable.
How you treat your women folk.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us that the best of you are the best to his family and his women. So this is something that could be a way to go to Jannah, is how you treat your wife or how you treat your daughter or women in general, or a way for you that you can wipe out all your good deeds. I mean, you could be doing Qiyam al-Layl, you could be doing all sorts of things. You could be even memorize most of the Quran, but you abuse your wife, or you abuse, women, or you treat them unfairly or unequal. I mean, obviously we are different, but we are equal.
Well, yes. Believe it or not, we have to finish now. I was told off last week because I ran over, and I was told 1 minute before 6, you've got to wrap up. So your final takeaway, and then I'll ask Sammy, and we've got to finish up now. Okay. But it was really, really a pleasure getting your perspective.
Thank you. Tamkin. I mean, my take on this would be, so please, exactly like what Sammy said, go into yourself, look at yourself, look at your purpose, and it's absolutely right. Once you understand your why, once you understand your purpose, everything else just falls into place. And then focus on yourself. Doesn't matter how others are treating you. See what you're putting out into the world. And putting out positive thoughts can only bring positivity to your own life.
Absolutely. Very good, John. We're on the same wavelength. Sammy, final word. It's 6 o'clock.
Yep. Okay. I'll be very, very brief. My best advice that I could give anyone that's going through any sort of trauma, any sort of health condition, not the very serious ones that you need the medical stuff, is first start with a daily routine. Set up a daily routine. Go for a walk. Walking can be very beneficial. Also, I recently started a 100-day transformation to lose weight. I've done that before. I've gained a lot of weight. I had lots of health issues, and I've done this before, and I managed to lose in 2 months quite a significant amount of weight and reversed a lot of my health conditions. And recently I left a project, and I ended up gaining the past 2 years 45 kilograms. I said, right, set up a plan, lose 100 days to lose weight, and it's worked so far. It's going really well. The other thing is having a cold shower. I know it could be difficult for people. That could increase and improve your
all the nerves
stress
go.
tolerance. Absolutely. So these are sort of things I can see the timer going off.
Yeah, the time is gone. Thank you very much.